Jeffrey.
All right. Welcome, everybody. On today's episode of ALVA Live, we'll be reviewing the results of ALVA's 2025 State of Latino Veterans Survey. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to ALVA Live, the webinar series for the American Latino Veterans Association. We're so excited to have you join us. I'm your moderator, Jeffrey Rosales, ALVA's Regional Coordinator for Southern California. In addition to these webinars where you will learn great information, network with people, learn how to become a member, and dive into really important topics, we also have our Attention ALVA podcast, where you get to hear from inspiring guests and people that will get you to the next level. And keep an eye out for our future events by visiting our website at alvavets.org and our social media channels at alvavets. We really want to thank our sponsors for these podcasts and webinars: JP Morgan Chase, PMI, Wells Fargo, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. This really helps boost up ALVA's presence on these social media platforms. I'm pleased to introduce our special guests for today, James Albino and Danny Vargas. James Albino is a Navy veteran and the former executive director of the Center for Minority Veterans and is a member of the ALVA Advisory Council. Danny Vargas is an Air Force veteran and is the founder, chairman, and CEO of ALVA. James, Danny, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Absolutely. James, let's start with you. As the former head of the Center for Minority Veterans, why don't you tell us a little bit about the importance of collecting this type of data from this type of survey?
Sure, Jeffrey. Before I do that, let me just thank Danny and yourself, Jeffrey, for putting this together and taking time out of your busy day to do this and inform our Latino veterans who are out in the field. As some of you may know, the VA has historically not collected demographic data for benefits purposes on Black and Brown and underserved communities. So this is a giant step forward in collecting data about the communities that we represent. So I hope that this data will in the future inform other VA facilities to do something similar. So this is a start in that direction. And in the VA and across the entire federal government, data drives policy, data drives appropriations, data drives projects. So it's important that the data be collected and analyzed and understood so that it does affect the changes that we are expecting.
I think that's very powerful. And, as we used to always say in the military, right? Intelligence drives operations, but operators might think a little differently here, but we cannot be flying blind. We have to know and get a pulse of our troops and how they're doing. This impacts veteran benefits, veteran services, and finding out what the needs are of our veterans here. But now I'm going to turn it over to Danny, our founder here. Walk us through the highlights of the results of the survey. And while you're at it, please tell us a little bit about ALVA.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you, James. Before we start, I just want to express my appreciation to both of you for participating in our first ALVA Live broadcast, and for all of you that are watching as well. This was really an attempt to drive deeper into what James was just talking about. I've always told people that I am heart-led but data-driven. So it's important that we follow our passions and try to make an impact, but we also have to make sure that we have something substantive and objective that we can point to when we make our case and our argument. So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and start sharing the results of the survey. And this was, again, our first foray into doing an annual national State of Latino Veterans survey. While this is the first one, it won't be the last. We intend to do this every year. And I think the importance of this is not just the data that we're able to see here today in this snapshot in time, but also as we do this over the years, the trends that we begin to see. So I think that's the importance of doing this. So. Again, the purpose of the survey was to assess the experiences, challenges, and priorities of Hispanic and Latino veterans across the country. We focused on military service, access to VA benefits, their interest in resources that support their well-being, their career advancement, and community leadership. Our report, after we're done with this broadcast today, we will be delivering a report to both the Congress as well as the executive branch, which means the Department of Veterans Affairs as well, to make sure that they are understanding the results of this survey. Again, to drive public policy, as James mentioned, it's important that we are able to use both hard data as well as some of the comments and remarks that were included in some of the open questions that the administration and the Congress can see the state of Latino veterans. We'll also share the results on our website and via social media beyond just this broadcast, so everyone can look at the details, not just the overview that we'll be analyzing today. So the methodology, the survey was conducted online over a 3-month period of time. We were able to garner 217 responses from veterans all across the country, doing it not only through our own organic social media channels, but also through some of our partners and other VSOs that were able to spread the word to be able to get veterans to take the 6 to 7 minutes or so that it took to be able to complete the survey and participate in this really important research. And a little bit about ALVA and why we conducted this research. We're a nonprofit organization. We were created to help Latino veterans thrive and recognize their indispensable contributions. That is our mission statement. We help our veterans find great jobs, to start successful businesses, to access the benefits that they've earned through their service and sacrifice. And we also tell the stories of Latino veterans and Latinos throughout our military history, from the Revolutionary War to today. We've been indispensable in the building, the shaping, and defending of this nation from the very beginning. And people need to hear those stories because we need to change the narrative. We need to change the narrative about who we are as a community and the impact that we have had and continue to have on this country's success and future. I will say membership is free. We are a membership organization, but it's free to all veterans, active duty, Guard, reserves, and their family members, because we know that military service is not just an individual exercise. It really is a family endeavor. But ALVA membership is available to everyone, irrespective of race, ethnicity, gender, religion, age, national origin, disability status. Everyone is welcome to come become a member of ALVA. You can visit our website to learn more about what we do and how to become a member. It's alvavets.org. There's a QR code on the screen right now to allow folks to go directly to our membership page. Those that don't have a military or veteran connection in their family can still join as well. It just won't be free. We ask for a nominal $50 a year contribution to be able to help support our continued efforts. So again, membership is available to everyone. In terms of the 5 pillars that we operate behind, this is our reason for being. Again, number 1 is workforce development and job placement. We know a lot of our veterans have a difficult time being able to get into civilian careers after their military service. We have ways to be able to help them. Second is around entrepreneurship. We know that in many cases, the best way to achieve sustainable self-sufficiency is to start your own small business, and we help folks do that as well. The recognition and inspiration, that's again around the stories of individuals today as well as Latinos throughout our history. We recently launched a series called Latino Valor, where we tell short stories of some of these Latino heroes throughout our military history. We began with the Revolutionary War, we've continued to the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and so on. So it's important that we honor and recognize those contributions, as well as our awards events that we've been able to do throughout the country. And then fourth is information on resources and benefits. Again, Latinos unfortunately don't access the benefits that they have earned at the same rate as non-Latinos. So we need to encourage Latinos to actually step up and access those benefits. And then lastly, the 5th pillar is around advocacy. So we have a voice on public policy matters. This specific survey was an effort specifically geared to being able to have a greater impact on public policy, as James described earlier. Data drives dollars and policy. So that's was the impetus behind doing this national survey. So what did we find? we found that our community of Latino veterans is fairly highly educated, deeply committed to service, but they're also eager for greater recognition and desire to be more unified. Many have accessed the VA benefits that they've earned, and most are confident in navigating the system, but there is some significant concerns regarding the delays and bureaucracies associated with being able to access those services. There is a perceived discrimination that many of them have felt throughout their military service and beyond, and that's something that needs to be taken into account, as well as the fact that there's limited access to culturally competent care within the VA system. So that's something we also need to take into account. To the point earlier about business, Latinos are very entrepreneurial and eager to either start a business or grow a business. And they're also really interested in being part of an organization like ALVA so that they can continue to develop that sense of community and camaraderie, but also have a stronger voice when it comes to public policy and beyond. So let's look at some of the demographic insights. In terms of gender of the folks that took the survey, approximately 80% male, 20% female. That tracks with the general active duty population, so that was not very surprising. As well as the Latino heritage of the population. 48% were identified as Mexican or Mexican American. Another 27% is Puerto Rican. That includes myself. 4% Cuban, 2% Dominican. So there was a smattering of others as well. But again, this sort of tracks with what we've seen throughout the Latino community. Fairly highly educated population. 65% have a bachelor's degree or more. So we are a well-educated community. 83% primarily speak English at home. Another 14% or so speak Spanish. We had some that spoke both at home, like myself, where you speak both English and Spanish. About 26% were born outside the United States, making them first generation Americans. That was a surprising statistic for me. I didn't think it was going to be that high. In terms of economic and career outlooks, about 1/3 or so earned under $75,000 a year. Another 22% earned over $200,000 a year. So there is a wide range in terms of income. 43% of the respondents were full-time employees. Another 31% were retired, but 7% were unemployed. In terms of entrepreneurship, that business startup culture that we have, 27% already currently own a business. Another 35% were interested in starting a business. So that really does hone in on the fact that we're a very entrepreneurial community. In terms of the top challenges that they described, access to capital was a challenge to be able to start these businesses, as well as financial management. And then another 35% that said that they would like to get additional help in marketing and sales activities. In terms of military service, very diverse. 36% were Army veterans. Another 19% were Air Force veterans like myself, 16% in the Navy, and 15% in the Marine Corps. In terms of the length of service, this was surprising to me. Another 36% of those that respond to the survey served more than 20 years. And 57% have served in a combat zone. And then in terms of rank, 47% were in the middle enlisted ranks from E4 to E5. That was myself as well. So I'm part of that larger demographic. Okay, so in terms of experiences in the military, as it relates to perceived discrimination, 54% said that they had perceived discrimination during their time in the military. 60% felt that their service was valued within their community, which is good, but we could be doing so much more. And 23% said that they didn't feel that their service was valued or recognized within our community. That's part of the reason also why ALVA exists, is to be able to make sure that these veterans understand that their service is appreciated and respected within our community. Of those that are first generation Americans, 59% said that they had felt discrimination, which is a little bit more than those that were US born Latinos at 53%. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. In terms of accessing VA benefits, 81% were enrolled in the VA healthcare system, which is great, but we could be doing even more. Of the benefits that they've accessed, 76% accessed healthcare, 69% accessed disability compensation, 61% accessed education benefits, 57% accessed the VA home loan benefit. In terms of satisfaction with the VA system, 16% said they were very satisfied, 42% said that they were satisfied, another 28% were neutral, which is not a good sign. Neutral does not connotate good or satisfied. 14% were either very dissatisfied or dissatisfied with the VA. Combat veterans showed a slightly lower satisfaction level than non-combat veterans, which is also very interesting. In terms of language and cultural barriers, 8% reported some type of barrier, but most did not. And then of the additional challenges that Latino veterans are facing, over half, 51%, said that they experienced some physical health challenge. So you would think that they would need access to good, high quality veterans healthcare benefits. 45% said mental health and PTSD were a challenge. That was something that really touched me in seeing that number. 27% are experiencing financial stress right now. Again, not very surprising. 16% said employment and job search, so they need help being able to find a job. Another 12% said loneliness was a big issue. This tracks as well with the greater population, is that loneliness has become sort of an epidemic in the country. And then another 12% said that discrimination and racism is something that they have to contend with on a daily basis. 11% said that housing instability and homelessness was something that they were concerned with. So that also tracks with the fact that, again, over 10.5% reported having been homeless at some point after their military service. So that's something that we have to be concerned with. In terms of community and culture, 58% that said that it was very important that they connect with other Latino veterans. 75% said that they would participate in a Latino Veteran Association like ALVA. Again, another reason why it's important that we have this entity in place. In terms of the desired supports systems that they would like to see, more Latino veterans, networking events and community spaces. We've been doing more of that. We just did a great event with you, Jeffrey, in San Diego. We did an event last year in New York City. Next year, we'll be doing an event in Puerto Rico. So there's more and more that we can be doing. And then our regional coordinators throughout the country are able to do more on the ground, independent of the national organization. They would like to see more business funding, entrepreneurship, and job placement assistance. Mental health and family support services, especially for women and spouses, was something that they indicated was very important. And then advocacy for citizenship is something that's very important for non-citizen veterans. And then in terms of some of the correlations that we found, this was sort of self-evident in that higher education correlates to higher income levels. Not surprising, although many of the people that reported having high incomes were folks that didn't necessarily have high education levels. So that's promising. Combat veterans did report lower satisfaction rates than non-combat veterans in terms of satisfaction with the VA. And then veterans who face discrimination also said that they had lower VA satisfaction levels. And then in some of the recommendations that we're able to craft as it relates to the survey results, you can see them here. Improve access and navigation of the VA system. That's super important. Address discrimination and cultural competency. Third, target homelessness prevention and integrated health services. Fourth, entrepreneurship and economic mobility for some of these veterans that are very entrepreneurial. Fifth would be around legal immigration support. We know that there's an organization, Repatriate Our Veterans, that does great work here. And then six, representation and community building and outreach. That's one of the reasons that ALVA exists and is operating on the ground in a variety of locations. And then data and accountability. That's specifically what this specific survey was intended to do, was to be able to provide some real concrete, objective data that can be used for policy purposes. And again, want to thank everyone that was involved in this survey, everyone who took the time to complete the survey. We are going to continue this on an annual basis. I want to thank everyone who continues to support our veterans and support ALVA and our work. The membership QR code is on the screen. ALVA membership is available to everyone to support our mission to help Latino veterans thrive and recognize their indispensable contributions.
Thank you, Danny. Very insightful. I have a lot of questions, but I do want to turn over to James here. James, what are your initial thoughts on some of these insights that Danny just went over?
Certainly, and from reviewing the survey myself and discussing it with Danny, I think as Latino culture, family is a very important factor. And one of the things that comes out is, in the survey is the ability to involve the family in communications, and that leads to quality infrastructure and improves the delivery of benefits and services. Related to that, there's a thought around person-centered programming. I assume some of that relates to cultural competency and the need for providers to be culturally and linguistically competent, not only with the veteran, but also with the family. So I think that stood out for me, and I agree with most of the observations that Danny makes.
Yeah, going back to what Danny was talking about, the last event we had in June here in San Diego at the Worldwide Technology Office, what I noticed is the veterans that did attended, they brought their families. A lot of them that got awards. So to your point, James, it just shows how family-driven veterans are within our community. But I think the challenge is, who is that battle buddy that is on the outside? We always get these battle buddies assigned to us in the military, but what about those on the outside, right? I think some of the things that stood out was, homeless veterans or veterans at risk. So are there any point of contacts within the community where we can go to? I mean, I'm your point of contact here for Southern California, right? But where's our battle buddies at, James? Tell me, or Danny here, where can we go to for that veteran that's going to bring us up, right? Or at least show us the pathway post-service.
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of things. I think the more that we're able to activate and operate locally, like with you in Southern California, Jeffrey, to be able to bring these veterans together. And even if it's in an informal setting, it doesn't have to be a big event, so that they get to know each other, they can interact with each other, find ways to support each other, even if it's a phone call every once in a while to say, hey, I'm not feeling well, or I might need some advice here and there, or do business with each other. That's a great thing. In terms of crisis intervention, we were lucky enough to partner with an organization called America's Warrior Partnership that does support veterans being able to go through the process to access benefits and claims and emergency support services. We have a co-branded landing page with them that they can access that. But I don't know, James, what do you think? Are there additional outlets for that?
Yes, the center that I operated has on the field 276 what we call minority veteran program coordinators. So they're located in the various VA facilities, whether they are health care centers or regional processing offices. And those individuals are collateral duty assigned, specifically addressing issues of minority veterans in their community. So if you go to San Antonio tomorrow, you could go to one of the facilities there and ask for the minority veteran program coordinator, and that person will do the intake and help you through whatever the problem is. We had a situation back in July of last year where we were conducting one of these outreach efforts, and a young lady had come to us walking basically from in Las Vegas heat of 110 degrees, walking and or hitchhiking because she was homeless. And she was looking to see if she can get her documents so that she can file her paperwork, but she can complete her paperwork. Well, we immediately put her in contact with a local minority veteran program coordinator, and we did find her claim and managed to adjudicate it that very day. And in addition to that, we had the housing folks from VBA connect her with HUD and got her a HUD VASH voucher so that she can get an apartment. And it turns out that she's qualified to be a caretaker. So we enrolled her in a caretaker program. And so she's getting a little bit of a stipend and getting training of how to take care of her husband and her family. And the adjudication was that it resulted in a $30,000 grant that she was entitled to, and that she earned that day. Had she not come out to see us, she wouldn't have known to do that work.
James, real quick on the cultural side, because you mentioned a really important word, and that is something that I have discovered in my own discovery, based on a lot of veterans that give me a hard time about not going to the VA after 10 years. But the thing about earning, right? Like sometimes we feel like we're not entitled or earned it. Let's talk about that from the cultural perspective. Like, why is that so important?
I'm baffled by that, Jeffrey. I think I was telling you earlier in the week that I've been paying into Social Security since I was 14, and I may not see any output of that. We earned these benefits. When we raised our hand, part of the package was you're going to go out, you're going to see the world, deploy, do great things, and then for your lifetime you're entitled to these benefits. So it's not a give me, it's not a handout. We earned it by walking across that gangplank and boarding a ship and deploying for 6 months at a time. So that is something that we earned, and we should not be ashamed or embarrassed or anything about getting these benefits, because they are our benefits. They're appropriated that way. Congress considers them that way. It's something that we've earned. And I think culturally we are a little gun shy about two things happen. We're a little gun shy about just asking for the benefits, and that I don't understand. But the other thing is that we find a roadblock and immediately or stop there, rather than being persistent. I'll be the first to admit the VA is a large organization, and it's very bureaucratic, like most federal offices. But you need to be persistent about that. I would recommend people going out to their state Veterans Affairs directors, to their county Veterans Affairs directors, and ask them for help. There's dozens of VSOs that, including ALVA, that could help process your claim. But it's a matter of being persistent. It's not an easy thing to navigate, but it can be done.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have to admit, and the veterans, Albert Renteria, he's was at his trade show last week in Moreno Valley, and you said it perfectly. He says, we're not here for handouts, we're here for hands up. So, and that's what it's all about, just a hand up for veterans like us to be able to successfully navigate. Because if you help a veteran successfully navigate, that's actually less burden on the taxpayer when it comes to health care or other needs that they might need. And that puts it all together for me, right? And you can use that capital to deploy back into your community or to deploy having a business. So I think there's a lot of benefits there to do that. So again, as James mentioned, if you need help, please contact us or go to ALVA.org. We'll put you in contact with whoever you need. Now, turning over to
I will
go ahead, Danny.
Let me before you transition. There is one area that really concerns me, and James talked about the reluctance to try to access benefits, and you mentioned that too. That's a true thing. So we need to encourage Latino veterans to access the benefits that they've earned. There is one area that concerns me greatly, and that's mental health. I think there is a broad-based stigma associated with accessing mental health services. I think it's even greater when you talk about veterans, because veterans are trained and taught to be independent, strong, willed, and so forth. Add on top of that the next layer of stigma that's with the Latino community, you have to be strong and macho and so forth. So the more that we can do to remove these stigmas, to encourage people to say it's okay to raise your hand saying, hey, I'm not feeling right. Something going on in my head. I'm, dealing with these things. It's okay to access the mental health services that you need. I've always said that anytime I hear a story about a veteran that can't find a job, that's awful. Anytime I hear a story about a homeless veteran, that's awful. That's horrible. But every time I hear a story about a veteran that's taken his or her own life because they didn't access the mental health services that they needed, that is a national tragedy. We need to do better.
Oh, I agree. And again, I'll throw out the statistic again. 100,000 veterans have taken their lives since 9/11, which is more than the previous 4 wars combined. You can look that up. It's an invisible war. And I think mental health starts with us getting together, having community. And the missing thing is camaraderie, Danny. So again, having more events is going to be very, very key. Having a battle buddy on the outside. But I do want to transition a little bit to the programming and the stories, because this is the other piece besides entrepreneurship, which we're going to get to in a little bit. Let's talk about the programming and the stories, right? A lot of times when we don't see each other, we don't feel like we can be it, right? If I don't see it, then why try? So let's talk about that. I know you kind of focus on that with your podcast, and you kind of highlight inspiring speakers. Why did you decide to do that?
So there's 2 reasons. I think number one, to your point about feeling good about ourselves as a community, we need to know instinctively ourselves that we are valuable, that we're contributors, that we have worth. That as an individual, I always say that one person can change the world. Everyone can make a difference. We can all be doing more. So us individually and as a community, we need to feel that we have that level of value and worth. But number 2, within the broader mainstream community, we need to change the narrative. Unfortunately, there is a negative connotation associated with the Latino community. We need to make sure that everyone understands, every American understands that this segment of the population, we are 19% of the population right now. By 2060, we'll be 30% of the population. We have fought in every war we have ever had. We've been contributing to the building, the founding, and defending of this nation for 500 years, long before the British ever got to Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. So changing that narrative so that folks understand that our community has always been contributing, is contributing in a massive way today, and will be vital to the strength and vitality of our nation moving forward. So that segment of the population needs to feel acknowledged, engaged, and invested in our future.
Oh, 100%. Latinos, America's security is based on the Latino national security. If we want to compete in this millennium, we need to make sure we have all hands on deck, right? All communities, not just this community, but all communities need to be hands on deck, right? Because we're innovators. We want to contribute. We have been contributing. Over 60 plus Medal of Honor recipients are Latino, and there's a pipeline of them. A fifth of Medal of Honor recipients are immigrants. So we should not shy away from that, but also to the stories, right? You get the Roy Benavideses, you got the Sergeant Peraltas that people are not, you got the Danny Garcias that, we're working on, right? The real Forrest Gump. I think it's important for us to be able to contribute that, and yourself, James as well, right? It's amazing seeing people in leadership positions, because it gives others from this community to aspire to, right? And I'm sure, James, you gave a lot of talks on that. Any thoughts?
Sure. I think the storytelling part makes an experience, a lived experience, more valuable. I'll give you an example. About a year and a half ago, we wanted to encourage minority students to come into the VA and pursue a medical career. And what we did was we got area youths that are in high school that have shown interest to go to medical school. And then we went across the country, San Antonio, Tampa, New York, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and did a live broadcast with the VA's top medical providers, right? These are the number one psychologists, psychiatrists, surgeons. So there was a half dozen of those leaders there live with some of the students, but also via broadcast. And one of the things that one of the doctors said is that to these youths, it said, I see you in this seat in 10 years. Right. So imagine the impact of a kid who probably doesn't have the opportunity to advance, to have one of the nation's top medical providers tell him, you're going to be taking my seat in a period of time. That's transformative. That'll certainly inspire some. And given that some of these kids may not have that inspiration in their lives, and having somebody do that and telling them that story, telling them the opportunities that are in front of them is very valuable.
Yeah. Powerful. I mean, the thing is, going back to, like Danny Garcia, we're all about God, family, country too, as fellow Americans. And I think as our fellow Americans, you should want to communicate with us, and vice versa here. Like I said, we're on the same team. We're all competing with China as well, right? A lot of us that contribute to that. And these stories are very important to our child's and our children's future and our children's future going forward. So I think we're all in this together as a united front. But we should also have understanding of how can we help each other grow and enlarge in the pie, which I do want to get to a little bit. But storytelling is important. I'll give you an example of Julie Franco, right? Because of ALVA, I met Julie Franco, Marine, 88 pounds in boot camp from Chicago, has 2 businesses. And myself and Albert Renteria, right, the founder of the Veterans Small Business Trade Show in Moreno Valley, people there from the state, government leaders, community leaders. She flew out and came and attended, and I almost, started the knife in and started getting Marines in line and start buying gunny gear, right, which is a very great brand. But the point is, it was a great economic opportunity for her. It was exposure, and it was also camaraderie. She felt like she was back with her troops again, with her Marines or Army, Navy, Air Force. And I think that was so important from that perspective for her. So it wasn't just the economics, but it was just also the satisfaction that there's other people that are out here and that we're in it together. I think she's a great success story as she's going to continue to grow. There's many others that we met, like Guillermo Diaz is also out here doing great things, right? Navy veteran, former CIO of Cisco, sits on numerous boards. His children are going to be doing great as well. I have the opportunity to meet them, and they want to get involved here. But I think it's how do we get the word out, Danny? I think that, and this is why these type of programs are going to be very important going forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will tell you that the more we do around the country at the local level, it's going to be increasingly important. We did an event in New York City in Central Park last December. We gave awards to incredibly well-deserving individuals. Among them was a 92-year-old Korean War veteran who was a Borinquenier. So I think those of you who don't know that the U.S. Army's 65th Infantry Regiment, the last segregated unit within the Army, was made up of Puerto Ricans. And the Borinqueniers in the Korean War were one of the most highly decorated combat units in that conflict, setting the gold standard for the bravery of a combat unit. And this gentleman who had come up with his grandson, and I was reading his award write-up. He had been preparing to speak, but when I completed reading his biography, he was so emotional, he was so choked up that he couldn't speak. All I could do was put my arms around him. I got choked up just thinking about it and just saying thank you. So being able to say thank you, show them appreciation, show them respect is the least that we can do. To be able to say, we know what you did, we know what you went through, and we know your contributions, your service, and your sacrifice. The least we can do is be here for you.
I think that's a very powerful a statement here, and I pray that we make a movie and get some more books out there to the youth, Danny and James, so the youth can be informed about this, right? A lot of them don't know that. They don't know the Borinqueniers. And by the way, I did read up when one of the second 4-star Latino General, John Cavazos, was actually an OIC of the Borinqueniers, and I didn't know that, right? And I was like, that's amazing that cultural ability to be able to communicate with them right away and understand, because cultural is very important whether people like it or not, right? I think having the ability to speak multiple language is a powerful gift in itself. They always say that's associated with intelligence, right? I'm not saying I'm the smartest, right, because I joined the Marine Corps, but I'm very proud of my service in that regard. And so I think it's very important for us to continue to tell these stories as we go forward, right? And I think with books, if we have books, we want to start a book reading club. I think that might be important as well, right? Going into the future. But I know we're definitely coming up on a little bit of time. I do want to pivot to my favorite is entrepreneurship. One of the stats I saw was a lot of people are interested in starting a business or already own a business. There's a lot of successful veterans that have served. One is Art Moreno. He owns the Angels, right? Now he served in Vietnam. Comes from a big family, right? And I pray that we one day get him involved with what we're doing as well. But let's talk a bit about that, Danny, because again, going back to national security, economic security, we need to enlarge the pie, and that's with innovation. So what are some things we can do from an economic perspective to get more people on the field that are innovators or leaders or business owners?
Well, thank you for asking that question. From the first event that we did in Washington, D.C. a few years ago, we had a panel on entrepreneurship, on how to start a business, how to grow a business, how to do government contracting. We're going to have a panel coming up in our D.C. event on November 12th, focused on entrepreneurship and how to start a business. We are an entrepreneurial people. Bring a Latino into a community, and pretty soon they'll be starting a small business to serve the needs of that community. I started my business 21 years ago. After my military career, after 5 years as a civilian in the intelligence community, after 10 years in telecommunications, I started my business as a way to not only to provide for my family, but as a way to be able to spend more time with my kids. There's no reason why we can't meld that entrepreneurial spirit with one of the core principles and values of our community, and that's family, right? Because we're not a race, right? We are Afro Latinos, we're Asian Latinos, we're blonde haired and blue eyed, we're mulattoes and mestizos and Native American and everything in between. We are a culture made of foundational values around family and faith and freedom and optimism and opportunity and passion and pride, all those qualities that are needed in our country today. But there's no reason why we can't blend entrepreneurship with that family value. And that's what sets us apart a little bit.
Yeah, and like I said, I always tell my other fellow Americans, we have a lot more in common than we think. So if you put away the whole hysteria and the whole fear mongering, there's a lot that we have in common. We all care about family. We all care about God. We all care about this country, right? God and country. I do think from an economic perspective, as contributors, this not only benefits the family, but the community and the country, right? If you want us to grow GDP, we always talk about that, then you need to get more players on the field, right? Access to capital, access to business mentors, right? Access to contracts. Another thing, there's a lot of innovations, especially when that event we had in June, Danny. A lot of innovators I met, a lot of them doing great stuff here, but how do we bring that to the surface? How do we pair them with the right business leader who's going to take them on, mentor him? I think, we need to have our own version of SCORE, right? With ALVA SCORE, as we go forward. And it's great to know people like Guillermo Diaz, right? Doing great things. And he's going to continue to do great things. Go ahead, James. Came off mute.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in addition to access to capital, oftentimes what I hear and the survey talks about is a lack of training or the lack of personal capacity to run a business. And the VA has a program, the Veterans Readiness and Employment Program, where you can go back and I'm getting my master's from Johns Hopkins through that very same program. And there's opportunities there that if you don't have the skill sets, the VA can help you get those skill sets through that particular program.
So I think that's a big thing, right? Because I'm very grateful for the GI Bill, but veterans, if you're paying attention, look up VRE through the VA, as James just mentioned, because a lot of them, all they need is just a little bit of capital, maybe some of them, James, just to get them going, and then so that way they can go out and do their thing. And it's just a lot of them also feel frustrated, right? You said there's the bureaucracy. There's a lot of benefits. I mean, I think. One veteran we had on, he's now he's at the VA, but he had this book on veteran benefits. There's like hundreds of benefits that we just are not aware of, but the popular ones are obviously the GI Bill, right? And if we don't buy that book, who do we talk to for that, right? Who's a dedicated VA person who say, okay, you're going to have your own transition path, right? You want to go into entrepreneurship? Okay, you take this benefit. You want to go education? GI Bill. Your health, go here, right? Like, where are those type of pathways? So that's what I'm curious about.
And I think that's why the data found in this survey is important to be able to communicate that with elected officials and leaders in Congress and administration so that they can continue to support these programs. It's not a fait accompli. We can't assume that these programs are always going to be in place and always funded, right? So we need to be able to engage those leaders that are making decisions on which programs to support and which ones to cut. We need to be able to provide them this data so that we can have a voice in those public policy matters.
Yeah, I agree. I think policy going forward I'm getting more smart on policy every day now that, it's just in my face all the time and I can't run away from it. So it's there. But also if you're a policymaker, this is nonpartisan. We are here just telling a story, and we'd love to have a conversation with you guys about how we can help our country again after service and why it's so important for us to be able to do things like that. So I'm excited that you're going to be sharing this with members of Congress and those of the executive branch. And if you are listening here, or you're going to be listening to this, you're a veteran or you are a veteran spouse, learn about this, get involved, contact us, go to alvavets.org, right? And let's have a conversation. And if you are struggling, we don't want you to feel like you're struggling. You're not in alone. We're here. We're your familia. Let's have a conversation. Let's build together here. So Danny, real quick, before we go to final thoughts, is there any upcoming events that you want to share?
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity. So November 12th in Washington, D.C. at the AT&T Forum on New Jersey Avenue, we'll be having our annual D.C. ALVA Expo and Awards reception. The afternoon will include panels on mental health, harm reduction, benefits, entrepreneurship. And then the evening awards event will be giving out 6 awards. It's always an emotional event, as you saw in San Diego. Where folks are able to share their stories, and it's always a tearjerker. Bring your tissues. James is going to be receiving an award. Spoiler alert, just like you received an award, Jeffrey, in San Diego. So it's going to be a fantastic event and a wonderful opportunity to be able to network and interact with each other. We are planning for an event in Puerto Rico next year in the spring. So none of this would be possible without our members and our sponsors. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate our sponsors for being able to help us do what we do. We have an incredible board of directors. We have a phenomenal advisory council, which includes James as well on our advisory council. That includes people like John Leguizamo and former Attorney General Alberto Gonzalez and many, many more. We've got our wonderful community partners. Like I mentioned, America's Warrior Partnership. We partner with Face the Fight Coalition to prevent veteran suicide. We partner with the Latino Coalition and so many other great community partners to be able to help us craft our programs and get the word out. We are so proud of our community and all we're able to do at the national level, at the local level with our regional coordinators. So I encourage everyone to visit our website, alvavets.org. Become a member, find ways to be able to access the resources that are on that page for workforce development, for entrepreneurship and benefits and more. And we'll continue to do our best effort to be able to help as many people as possible. Don't forget our mission is to help Latino veterans thrive and recognize their indispensable contribution. So the last thing I'll mention is in terms of content, the next episode of Latino Valor is coming out. This one will be focused on Guy Gabaldon. You talked about language earlier, Jeffrey. Guy Gabaldon was a street kid that grew up in LA, Mexican-American kid who went off to World War II after having spent time with a Japanese-American family while he was growing up in Saipan. He was able to use his limited language Japanese skills to be able to convince over 1,000 civilians and soldiers to surrender, saving countless lives on both sides. That's an example of a Latino hero that not many people get to talk about, because the movie that they did in Hollywood based on his life, Hell to Eternity, they didn't cast the Chicano or Mexican American, they cast a tall white guy. So the erasure of our community's contributions is real and it continues to happen. So with that, I just want to thank everyone for participating and help us do the important work that we do.
Thank you. And it's really important that we continue. Again, another data point why we need to continue to tell our stories here. And if you are a grandchild or child and you feel like your parent served or your mom served and you want us to highlight them, please contact us and we'll be happy to have a conversation at alvavets.org. And I think what Danny is also saying is I should probably get my surfboard out, get ready to go eat some mofongo next year in Puerto Rico. So I'm really excited about that. All right, gentlemen, final thoughts. James, over to you.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the top of the script and re-emphasize something that we commented on earlier. That book that Jeffrey talked about is chock full of benefits. These are benefits that you earned. If you raised your hand and put on the uniform, you earned these benefits. So if you need an education grant, VRE is there. If you're a spouse and you're taking care of a veteran, there are caretaker benefits there. There are benefits that you could translate to your children if you decide not to use them. If you're a community leader, you ought to be encouraging your veterans to follow those benefits because those benefits are paid by the VA, the hospital benefits, for example, and it won't impact your local community hospital, your emergency room. If the veteran is getting benefits, those are resources that are coming into the community, so it also impacts the community. These are things that we earned. They're not gimmies, giveaways. We earned them, and I encourage everybody to go out and make sure that they're taking advantage of the benefits that they earned.
James, one more time. What is the website link? Can we put it in afterwards in the chat, and that's something that we can do? Is it va.gov or is there
va.gov? Yes.
Okay, so va.gov. We'll put it in the chat afterwards. Thank you. I think that's really important that we're re-emphasizing where you can get your benefits. Sure. Danny, over to you.
Well, again, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, James. I appreciate you doing this. Last message to everyone watching. Come to our website, alvavets.org. Come to our events. Reach out to us. If you need help, we're here for you. If you want to be able to hear stories about our community's contributions, we're here for you. If you need a voice to affect public policy, we're here for you. The one thing that we cannot underestimate is the power of recognizing those who have worn our nation's cloth, showing them respect and appreciation. We can all be doing more, and together we can make a difference. So become a member. We look forward to working with you. We look forward to having fun too, because we do have lots of fun. So thank you all again, and God bless you.
Take care, everybody.
God bless you as well, and God bless America.
Bye.
Here you are.